Hey everybody, welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs,
And I'm David Woldingen.
and it's time for us to preview Mizzou's Week 3 matchup against the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. Before we start, please guys, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and on Spotify. David, after 2 weeks of seeing this team after the border war win, do you think it's time to reassess anything with this team as far as expectations or what you think the ceiling is?
I want to hold off on that. And the reason why is while the offense is much better than I was expecting it to be, much improved, if you will, um, just by all the weapons that we have and what the play calling has opened up for everybody, especially with Brett Norfleet back. I want to see the defense
Yeah.
against South Carolina, specifically our secondary and our safeties, because in the Kansas game, it exposed our secondary, and some of that had to do with the scheme of the way we were playing. But the zone was really, really soft, and even more so, our safeties were still getting sucked in, especially Marvin Burks when he was out there. It happened a couple of times. I want to say the first touchdown, he got sucked up, and they hit the tight end right over top of him. Uh, but they have to find a way to shore up some of those soft zones if they're going to go with the zone defense. Otherwise, they need to stick with man and blitz.
Yeah, you hit on a number of things that I think are relevant for this week. I think the theme of this week, as people are asking questions like I just asked you, Mizzou's back in the top 25 in the AP poll, first one out in the coaches. People are talking about this team a lot. Bo Pribula, the Maxwell Player of the Week, the quarterback award. Norfleet, the Mackey Player of the Week, tight end award. Dominic Jadis, the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. All this stuff. And the theme in the practice facility is y'all ain't that good yet. They're really making a conscious effort to keep the team kind of more level-headed and let the fans celebrate and praise the team, but kind of keep the players grounded so that they don't, read their own press clippings and then go out and get themselves beat for no good reason. Yeah, part of
Well,
the
and
reason is that there are flaws, like you talked about, and that'll be something that to work on. This game is going to be a lot about getting kinks out, I think, and kind of figuring out, all right, we're not good at this. Let's try some things.
what I was going to say is that Kansas game, there were two or three plays away from being way ahead of us. There were a couple throws Jalen Daniels couldn't quite make where he had wide open guys behind the safeties that would have been easy touchdowns if he would
Oh
have
yeah,
hit.
he had a home run ball that should have been 75, 80-yard touchdown. He had all day to throw.
In
Guy
fact,
was
in
two
fact, I think
steps
he,
behind anybody and just
yeah,
he overthrew it.
yeah, I was gonna say I think he overthrew that ball
And
if I
and
remember
they had a
correctly.
late third down conversion where it hit the receiver in both hands and he just dropped it. That was
So,
late in the game.
and one of the key things I noticed in that game, and I know we have Louisiana to talk about, but it's something the defense really needs to fix is when they are in that soft zone, nobody was picking up the delayed release from the tight end or the running back wheel routes that were coming off. They were wide open all game, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it was schematic or they were just too busy looking elsewhere. Nobody picked that up, and that's something coaching can fix.
Yeah, and that's something that was brought up in the press conference on Tuesday. Drinkwitz said that, gosh, he said that in the post game press conference Saturday was was that yes, they were mixing in man and zone. When they went zone, the zone was too soft. He said that. He said it Saturday. He said it Tuesday's presser. I think he said it again at Tiger Talk. So, as you said, that is a coaching thing and something that he seemed confident they are going to be able to correct. If they do that, well, then you're back to looking at, honestly, the same problem you've had with your safeties. Yeah, guys who want to play linebacker instead of kind of take the meaning of the word safety to heart and be that last line of defense. And that's something that I don't know. With Marvin Burks, that's just who he is. I don't know at this point how much he's going to improve.
Well, I want to
And
say
this is 3 years of it.
it was evident in the fact that he split snaps almost evenly. So because of the fact that he's losing a little time because of that, I think the staff is aware of it too.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see Mose Phillips, Santana Banner, if they start getting more reps, if Burks and even Catalan sometimes, if they can't do a better job against Louisiana, it's going to be a problem again. Missouri will face more mobile quarterbacks like a Jalen Daniels. Now, this week, specific to Louisiana, it's something where I think they can kind of try to do things more blitzing, for example. You know, you feel that you feel that the talent disparity is such that yeah, you can experiment and maybe you get burned. It shouldn't matter. All right. This is a Louisiana team coming in at 1-1. They've already lost their quarterback Walker Howard for the year. Howard has played at LSU, played at Ole Miss, and finally got himself a starting job where he was the guy for the Raging Cajuns, and he's already had surgery to repair an oblique injury. He was lost in the game against Rice. They scored 12 points. I'll repeat that. They scored 12 points against Rice. I don't care that they lost their quarterback. You should put up more than 12 against Rice. Um, Last week they beat McNeese State, FCS McNeese State 34-10. So, firmly in control, I guess.
Well,
They're favored by 4 touchdowns. This is a week for Missouri to kind of call it a get right game, even though they won, if you want.
get right, get healthy, and then, as you were saying, maybe work on some things,
Yeah, this is a
especially on the
tinkering type of game. This
yeah,
is, should be.
especially on the defensive side. I know offensively, the inside of the line had a few struggles. Both tackles played a phenomenal game against Kansas. Specifically Caden Green, based off
Yeah.
of the mistakes he had the first game. So it looks like whatever was troubling him, he worked through and just played a phenomenal game.
The
Uh,
pass protection was, not perfect, but it was noticeably better.
the one thing I'll
So a good
say,
sign. You hope that there's no more than a stray play here or there against Louisiana where there's pressure.
yeah. Well, and the one thing I'll say about the offensive line towards the end of the game is Mizzou ran something like 80 offensive plays. So
Yeah.
even though they're in control of the game and they were opening up holes and doing all kinds of stuff on the line, they were gassed by the end of the game. So another thing to keep an eye out is just conditioning, staying game ready, and then just getting another week of work in as they still haven't played a lot together.
Yeah, and one thing I'll be curious to see is if Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts split carries pretty evenly. It, Missouri has a luxury there that I don't think many people expected. Everyone assumed Hardy was going to be the workhorse, and he's gotten more carries than Jamal Roberts. But Roberts has really stepped up and is a legit number two who is a complement, and it's closer to being a running back tandem than anybody expected. Hardy will get more carries, but Roberts is showing enough that in a game like this, maybe Hardy doesn't need more than 10 or 15 carries. And you can lean on Roberts a little more, knowing that look at last week against Kansas, Hardy had 25 carries.
Well, and
Save save him for games like that, Carolina next week, for example.
something to bring out is Jamal Roberts was the third down back, but he's also a blocking
Yes.
running back. He
Yes.
actually was in the game way more than Hardy was. And when Hardy came in, I would say almost 80% of the time he was running the ball when he was in the game. So something to keep an eye on there. I'd like to see Mizzou try to use Hardy more in the passing game too, just so it keeps
It's
teams
not so
off balance.
predictable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which kind
Yeah.
of makes it all the more impressive what he was doing with the Rock because you knew when he was in the game he was getting the ball.
Yeah. Um, One last point that I'm curious to see is what Drinkwitz decides to do with Robbie Meyer in the kicking game. He said in the post-game presser that at 25 and out, they were going for it. And the whole mindset being to ease Meyer into it, to not put him in a situation where the first field goals he's ever trying are extremely high leverage rivalry game type situations. And that makes sense. This is a game, again, you can tinker. You can say, you know what? Why don't you go try this 46 yarder? Ideally you can start, hey, here's a 34 yarder, and then a 46. Work your way out, ideally. But I think Drinkwitz is going to be a little bit more liberal and maybe even lean towards kicking a field goal where he might normally go for it just to get Myers some game experience in field goal attempts that are more than just a chip shot.
Yeah, I agree with that mainly because you have to find out what you have in him. Because I
Yeah.
think that down the road, especially even the very next game against South Carolina, you have to know what you have with your kicker
Yep.
because, like the Kansas game, it's going to decide what you do, and you can't expect Mizzou every time to go 4 for 5 on fourth down.
Yep. So, David, for you, what's one thing you want to see Missouri really tinker with?
Oh, I still lean towards the secondary, and honestly, I would like to see them play zone in a game and try correct some of the issues they had. I know with our safeties, it's not going to be an easy fix because of how they tend to creep up and try go for the big hit, almost like a linebacker. But
Yep.
they have to work on their zone coverage because South Carolina is going to be another running quarterback, and
Yep.
they have to prepare for that game. So
Yep.
you can't have them getting burned deep because the quality of the quarterbacks are just as good or better, especially throwing the ball. So you got to make sure you have those coverages.
Yeah, and for me, it's also on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, gosh, the offense has been pretty much fantastic, aside from a few questions on the line, which partially we got answered. So my big thing is on the defense. I want to see I want to see more than just, you know what, we're going to contain a quarterback and not blitz. I want to see blitz packages. Probably not going to happen that much given the opponent, but I want to see some creativity, and I want to see something besides, well, the quarterback can run. We're just going to create a pocket and not let him run for 100 yards. It's
Well,
something I may have to wait until Carolina comes to town, but that's something I want to see an adjustment off of that.
and I do think there are third down situations where you can play contain but bring a couple linebackers to get the extra pressure. So
Yeah.
that's something we didn't do against Jalen Daniel. Uh, on those third down situations, he was able to get some like 20-yard chunk plays down the field because the zone was soft. So I agree with you. That's also big. I'd love to see them bring a couple of pressures, just something else for the offenses to work on, if anything.
Yeah. Um, so prediction time. And hey, you know what? We both nailed the margin of victory. It was a little high. Both had 11-point wins. Missouri got an 11-point win. We were lower scoring, and it's certainly not the way we thought Missouri would arrive at an 11-point win. But hey, a win's a win. So props to us. Now for this one, I think Missouri's going to try go out of their way to get some field goals. Uh, it's not going to be a contest. No drama here. Missouri 48-13.
And I got mad at you because you said the 48 right before I did. Just to be a little different, though, I'm going to go 52-10. And I think this is also going to be a game where they can get Matt Zoller some work just in case you ever have to need him. Um,
Oh yeah.
and hopefully you can get him some extended time just to get him ready for next year or the year after. So just looking to see what Mizzou does to tinker, play around, and then possibly see some guys we don't normally see. So again, the key here is to be consistent, keep the penalties low, stay healthy, and go out and win another football game. Get ready for a big one against South Carolina.
There you go.
As always, continue watching. We'll have the post game show after the game, or Eric will, and we'll keep you guys updated with all things Mizzou.